So imagine me in 2019 sitting on a table and trying to study. So for some reason I thought this would be a good idea to actually track how long I can study. So I sat there with a stopwatch, literally counting the minutes. Guess how long that study session lasted? It lasted for 20 minutes. And even during those 20 minutes, I started feeling bored. I was lost in my own thoughts. And I usually wouldn't understand something the first time I read it. I had to reread it multiple times. So because my attention span was so bad, I never really wanted to do anything productive. My grades were bad, my assignments were due, my homework was incomplete. I knew I had a problem. Ever since that point, I've been on a journey to increase my attention span. I've read hundreds of books, watched 1,000 different podcasts, tried a bunch of different diets, supplements, techniques, frameworks, you name it, I've probably tried it. And in this video, I'm going to condense that 5 years of research into just a few protocols that had the most impact on my attention span. I was able to go from 20 minutes to 4 hours a day, and this increase in attention span flipped my life around. I worked as a software engineer in Fortune 500 companies like Dell Technologies, AMD, Synopsys. I went from being a below average student to a top performer in both my bachelor's and my master's program. I accomplished all these things while lifting weights at the gym and practicing martial arts 6 days a week. At the end of this video, I'm going to talk about one thing that you are probably doing that is just destroying your attention span. So make sure that you stick to the end. So in the past, the first thing that I used to do once I got up was probably check my notifications, see the messages that I've received, respond to emails, and scroll through social media for a while, and then finally get up or do something fun. If it was the weekends, I would actually binge watch YouTube videos or play video games. Or if I had to attend school or university, I would just rush off to classes. So I typically got free at around 4 p.m. That is when I had free time to actually work on things, either complete homework, assignments, work on hobbies, passions. But what used to happen was that throughout the day, especially during the earlier parts of the day, I used to accumulate all these events, stressors, thoughts, distractions. And once these had filled up my mind, I used to have a very hard time focusing on a singular topic later on in that day. The later that I would start studying from the point of waking up, the harder it got for me to focus. The shorter my attention span became, because now my head was just bouncing from thought to thought to thought. What did that girl at the class say? Why did the professor give me a C-? What am I going to wear for my birthday? When is this deadline due? When is that due? When is this report up for submission? All these thoughts just kept playing in my head while I was trying to work. To combat all of this, the one lifestyle change that I made was, as soon as I got up off the bed, I used to start doing something productive, something that required deep focus work, which was cognitively demanding. The first thing I used to do, literally woke up. There were days where I did not even brush or wash my face. Walk up to my table, open my laptop, and work on some deep focus task. And I cannot stress enough how much of a difference this made. Doing your cognitively demanding tasks the first thing in the day, when your mind is an empty slate, it's a blank slate, there are no thoughts, no stresses on it, no distractions, makes a huge difference. When I started doing tasks early on in the day, the frequency of thoughts reduced by 50 to 70% because I had not accumulated a pile of thoughts and stresses. I want you to really try this. Schedule your most cognitively demanding, your most important task of the day, the very first thing in the day. It could be something like completing your homework, doing some assignment, doing some tasks from work, or learning a new skill, learning how to program, solving some math puzzles, whatever it is, whatever is really important to you and whatever is really cognitively challenging, schedule it as the first thing in the day, immediately as soon as you wake up. So this is the exact method that I use to crack a lot of these difficult software engineering interviews. The first 1 or 2 hours of the day, all I used to do was focus on software engineering interviews, practice coding problems, lead code, etc., etc. Even before I went to uni or even before I went for my internships, this is what I used to do. The first 1 or 2 hours of the day, early morning, they were dedicated to my personal growth. Now, what this means is that you have to sleep earlier. I cannot stress how important this is. I don't want you to wake up earlier and be sleep deprived. No, you're not going to be able to pay attention if you're sleep deprived. You need to go to bed 1 or 2 hours earlier so that you can wake up 1 or 2 hours earlier. Let's say you leave for work at 7 a.m. Then the best thing you can do is wake up at 5:30 a.m. and get 1 or 1.5 hours of deep focus work done before all the distractions of workplace actually enter your life. Imagine if you committed 2 hours every single day for the next 2 years towards a singular goal. You can almost accomplish anything with that amount of focused work. If you're someone who values information-based content rather than just pointless entertainment, then make sure that you subscribe, because I'm going to be posting a lot more of these videos and you wouldn't want to miss out. So the first few times I actually sat down to do deep focused work, I could only last for like 10 to 15 minutes before I got bored or tired, and this was very, very disheartening. I would call this as having level 1 focus. If you cannot sit down and focus for like 40 minutes straight without breaks, without getting up and going to the washroom or drinking water or whatever, distraction free, 40 minutes of pure focus. If you cannot do that, then you have something called level 1 focus. What I then did was every couple of days, I would try to increase my overall focus, overall attention span by 5 to 10 minutes. And believe me, initially you're going to find this very uncomfortable. Your brain is going to rebel against you. It's going to feel heavy, weird, tired, bored. I felt all of these symptoms. But don't get stressed, because this discomfort that you're experiencing, that is exactly what is required for your brain to rewire itself and increase its attention span. Think of your attention span as if it was like a muscle. In order for you to grow a muscle, make it strong, you need to train it every single day. And sometimes the training can be quite uncomfortable, but remember that that is the stimulus that is required for that muscle to grow and become strong. And that's exactly what is happening with your attention span. When you get bored, tired, and continue to focus towards something, neurological changes are happening to your brain. So here's a pro tip. If you are someone who has like level 1 attention span, that means you can only sit and study for under 40 minutes before getting tired and bored, then what you need to do is do multiple sets of deep focused work. So here's an example of what that would look like. Let's say the first time you sat and started studying, you could study uninterrupted for, let's say, 30 minutes. That is the first set. Then take a 10 minutes break and come back to the study table and attempt the second set. Let's say in the second set, you lasted for 25 minutes. Take another 10 minutes break and then come back and attempt the third set. In this third set, you lasted 15 minutes. So in short, you're supposed to do like 3 or 4 such sets, because this way you're getting more stimulus to your brain, and this way you're increasing your attention span at a faster rate without actually burning out, because the duration of a single set is still quite manageable. We are getting the stimulus through the frequency of the sets that we are performing. And when you're just starting out, since you can't do a lot of work, you need to make it frequent. Though filled with breaks, it should be frequent. Here's something really important regarding breaks. I realized that when I take breaks that are longer than 15 minutes between sets, then I tend to lose focus, I tend to zone out, and I'm like way too distracted to get back for the next set. So make sure that your breaks do not exceed 15 minutes. And here's another thing, when my breaks are shorter than 10 minutes, I tend not to feel fully recovered from the previous set. I still feel fatigued in the new set. So what I would recommend is ideally try to have breaks that are like between 10 to 15 minutes between sets. Also, the activity that you perform in this break is extremely important. If you're lying down, focusing on a screen, or scrolling through social media, or doing something that gives you a lot of dopamine, then you're going to find it very hard to continue studying, and you're probably going to end your study session. What I've found is that going for walks, especially outside in high ceiling environments, helps you rejuvenate that focus really fast, and also you're not likely to end the study session midway. So just to quickly recap, in this protocol you are doing 2 things to maximize your total attention span. So the first thing that you're doing is that you're increasing your overall duration of focus for a single sitting session every couple of days. So this is the maximum amount of time you can focus in one set. In one sitting, no breaks. We are going to attempt to increase this every couple of days till you can reach something like 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes or even 2 hours in some cases. This is like a pretty good benchmark for focus in just one sitting. This is like amazing. If you can manage 1 hour to 1.5 hours, then you have like a level 4, level 5 attention span. The second thing that we are doing is doing 3 to 4 sets of deep focus work every single day. So this way we are increasing your duration and increasing your frequency. Therefore, your overall attention span is going to increase. So here's an example of what a week's progression would look like. So you can see on day 1, your first set is like 20 minutes long. And then your second set is 15 minutes long. Then your third set is 10 minutes long. So the overall attention that you could manage to get on that particular day is 45 minutes. On day 2, you're probably going to repeat the same thing. On day 3, you're going to increase the duration of your set. So the first set is 30 minutes long, the next set is 25 minutes long, and the third set is 20 minutes long. So this way your overall attention span has now increased to 1 hour 15 minutes. You're probably going to repeat the same thing on day 4 and day 5. And then on day 6, you're once again going to increase the duration of the set. Now your first set starts at 45 minutes. The next set is at 40. The next set is at 35. And now we have added another set. The fourth set is at 30 minutes. So this gives you an overall attention span of 2 hours 30 minutes. So just by using this protocol, you can build up your attention span to about 2.5 to 3 hours a day. Here's another tip for deeply cognitively demanding tasks like programming or doing calculus or math. Make sure you do not exceed 4 hours a day, because you're going to feel fatigued and tired the next day. So this will impact your overall weekly productivity. Also, once you have like a pretty decent attention span and you can do these 4-5 hour long sessions, I would recommend taking an hour long break after like the 2 or 3 hour mark, because then it really rejuvenates you for the next set. But if you have like a level 0 attention span, that means you can't last more than 40 minutes, then I would say that you keep your breaks under 15 minutes. You know, back in 2019 when my attention span was a mess, it wasn't just my academic performance or my work that was impacted. Like, I literally used to zone out. I remember one particular day, my math professor was writing something on the board and I was like looking right at it. I was listening to what was being said, but I couldn't comprehend a single thing. I was like a deer staring at headlights, completely zoned out. And people used to ask me questions and I wouldn't respond because I was just zoned out in my own little bubble, in my own little world. This used to happen like fairly frequently. And also I had what one would call like a shiny object syndrome. So one day I would plan that, hey, I'm really going to get into powerlifting, and I would like follow a powerlifting program, train powerlifting, weightlifting for around a week. And then the next week I would decide that, you know what, I'm actually going to train for a marathon. And then I would completely switch programs, flip all my goals around, and then start training for a marathon. And then just a couple of days later, I would be like, you know what, I want to be a martial artist. And this went on for like years. I kept like switching my goals and tasks. And this is why I wasn't ever consistent at any one thing. I believe that all these ADHD like symptoms where you're constantly task switching and you're completely zoned out and you agree to things impulsively without considering their repercussions, I believe that all of these things occur due to a shortened attention span. One protocol that I found really helpful in dealing with all these symptoms of a shortened attention span was actually meditation. And I know what you think, that's meditation, this is all like wishy-washy stuff. How does closing your eyes and being still actually help you with that? At least that's what I thought, that this is all some wishy-washy BS, spiritual BS stuff. I don't know. It has no real life impact. And I also thought like the whole point of meditation was control yourself to not have any thoughts. And every time I tried to meditate, I always used to have thoughts and I was like, guess I can't meditate. Maybe I'm not designed for meditation, and I would quit. Turns out that I was wrong. That is the wrong mindset to have when it comes to meditation. Turns out that you can literally never stop your thoughts from occurring because they are not in your control. They're thoughts, they just arrive out of thin air. But what you can do, realize when a thought has grasped your attention and then pull yourself back to a point of focus. Like, think of it like heartbeats, like an ECG graph in front of you. Each spike represents a thought that has grasped your attention and taking you away. It's taking you into this rabbit hole. And at some point during that thought, you will recognize, whoa, this thought took you off path. You've lost focus. As soon as that happens, bring yourself to a point of stability. Bring yourself to a point of focus. The stable regions of the graph represent points of focus. And then you're going to realize that you are focused for a while. You're thinking, you're looking at nothing but blank space or a point in your head before the next thought arrives. And you repeat the cycle over and over again. You recognize when thoughts take you off focus and you bring yourself back to a point of focus. The very first time I did this, I had like one thought every 4 or 5 seconds, and I could only last for like 2 or 3 minutes before I got really bored, agitated, irritated. But the more frequently I started doing meditation and the longer I meditated, I realized that the frequency of these thoughts greatly diminished. What this meant in real life was that I was much more present. I was no longer zoned out. I didn't have a lot of these ADHD like symptoms. I wasn't like switching my goals or being attracted to the next shiny object every couple of days or weeks. I was focused. I was aware of where I was, who I was, what I wanted to achieve. Like previously, I used to say yes to plans immediately, or when someone gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse, I would be like, yes, let me do it. And then I used to come back home and regret saying yes or no, or whatever I had said earlier. But once I started meditating, I was like in a lot more control of myself. I didn't impulsively tell the person, yes, I'm going to make it to that plan. I rather said, I'll think about it. And then I actually thought about it. So you know that time span that you have before you actually say stuff, or before you act on your impulses, I feel that meditation gives you a longer time span before you make an impulsive decision. Like, you see people who accidentally just pick up their phones and they're scrolling because it's so integrated as part of their muscle memory. Even though they're like trying to detox or not scroll, they just do it out of habit. And I believe that meditation makes you a lot more aware of those behaviors. Like, think about society today. Society today is like filled with stimulus all around you. Social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, name it. It's all stimulus everywhere at the tip of your fingers. Meditation is the exact opposite of that. Meditation gives you no stimulus at all. So it literally trains your mind to not be bored of things so quickly, to not demand the next post, to not demand the next reel, to not demand the next TikTok video, and be okay with not bombarding yourself with stimulus. And then this is how meditation truly increases your attention span. Here's the thing that you're probably doing that is destroying your attention span. It is the processed food that you're putting in your mouth. Yes! The burgers, the candies, the soda, the chocolates, like all of these things are absolutely destroying your attention span. They're making you more emotionally volatile, making you unmotivated, making you depressed, making you bored. Like, all of these things have tons of ingredients in them. They're processed in ways that make them inconsumable. And when you put them in your body, you get brain fog and your attention span shortens and you're sleepy and tired and groggy. Like, back then, my understanding of processed food was that, oh, all this stuff does is make you fat, put on a few extra pounds, that's it. No, it destroys your mental health. This is the true danger that no one talks about when it comes to fast food. And the brutal truth is, no matter how many of these protocols you do, if your diet is garbage, if you're eating processed garbage food, none of these protocols are going to help. If you're someone who's ambitious and really want to accomplish a lot in life, but procrastination and bad habits, they are just weighing you down, then click on the link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. I only take on 5 clients a month. Do it soon so you don't miss out.